Okay, here's a console window that I've got open, and I've got ML installed. So at the command prompt, I'm going to type SML. It's in my path. That brings up the dash, which brings you at the prompt level. And I use the use command, type in the file name, source code file name, dot SML, all in double quotes, semicolon. And right here is where it just compiled the program. It's ready to run it. I have no syntax errors. If there were, they would show up right here. And here you see the definition of all the functions that's contained in the source file, the cube, the square sum, and the max functions. With these three functions, we'll try out cube first. Basically, I can pass in cube of 2, should get 8 because it raises 2 to the third power. Uh, Cube of 3 should be 27. And the SQ sum function, if I put in a 3, in this case, I should get 14. That function basically you pass in an integer, it squares it, reduces it by 1, and keeps adding it, reducing it by 1. So it's 3 squared plus 2 squared plus 1 squared. So you get 14. And then, of course, the last function is the max function, where here you can pass in a list of numbers and it returns the largest in the list, which out of 4, 9, and 7, it returns a 9. Here's a quick rundown, a look at the functions in the actual source code. In here, I tried to uh, put plenty of comment statements in, identifying what the inputs and outputs are. In defining the various functions, I'm using type annotations here for the parameter list and also the return type. For the cube function, nothing special about that. It's very similar to what we've seen in other programming languages. But with the ML language, it's a functional programming language, which says it uses recursion quite a bit. So in the SQSum function, we're passing in that integer. In this case, I have on the right here kind of a run through for an example if you pass in 3. And what it does is it ends up calling itself, and each time it calls itself in minus 1. So it starts out at 3, then it calls it with 2, and then calls it 1, and then finally you get to the base case at 0. Got to have a way to terminate the recursion process, because each time you call SQSum, it calls up an activation record on the stack. So the first time it's a 9, if you pass in a 3, and then it calls it again with a 2, and it squares it, it's a 4, and it keeps a running sum of everything until you get down to 0, and that kind of terminates the recursion process. And then finally, I've got the max function here, which actually, following the what the professor showed in his video, a helper function, in this case, a max helper function, is created in which you can pass in, instead of a single parameter, you're passing in an integer list. And within the ML language, TL and HD are commands that signify the tail of the list and the head of the list. So here, each time a list is passed in, it peels off the head part, it peels off the tail part, compares the head part to the current value of max, which in this case is A. And if it's less, then it's going to just pass A in as itself again and peel off the list part and just keep working its way down to the base case, which is where you end up with an empty list. And when you get to that point, whatever is in A would actually contain the largest uh, element in the entire list. So that's pretty much a rundown of all the three functions in Project One. I appreciate your time. Thanks again.